Yo, what's going on, y'all? This is your host, Tarod Rashan, and you are now tuned into Tarodcast. For all of you brand new listeners out there listening to our show for the very first time, welcome. And for all of you returning listeners coming back for another deep diving dose of Tarodcast conversation, welcome back. Now, here at Tarodcast, you can take everything we say with a grain of salt. We simply just want to add some flavor to your meal. So if we are doing that, then we are doing our job. Today's episode is actually an episode that is inspired by quite a few things that I've seen over the past few weeks and some conversations that I've heard when it comes to the types of men out there. And I know I've talked about this a little bit before, but now I want to do a deep dive conversation on it. So without further ado, today's episode topic is the MANimal Kingdom. This is Tarodcast. Let's get it. What is good, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Tarodcast. Again, I'm your host, Tarod Rashan, and this particular subject for me is a subject that I really want to dive into because I know for me, being a man, we're very simplistic when it comes to how we classify certain things and even how we classify ourselves. And so when I talk about the MANimal Kingdom, it's coming from the overall types of male. Like if you were to Google types of male, you'll see all kinds of things that pop up that talk about the types of male that we're going to get into today. And I wanted to give my perspective as far as the things that I've learned, both on the animal kingdom side and also on the MANimal Kingdom side. And I can't wait to get into this deep dive of a conversation with you guys. But first, we've got to take care of our housekeeping details. So if you would like to take our show with you on the go, just know that we are on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, Spreaker, Podchaser, Castbox, Podcast Addict, iHeartRadio, Deezer, and YouTube. You can also find Tarodcast on Throne, which is a free live messaging application that allows us here at Tarodcast to exclusively reach our listeners. Make sure to sign up if you'd like to keep the conversations going after the episode. If you're looking for natural oils for ultimate hydration and care for your hair and skin, hit up the Resilient Lotus at www.theresilientlotus.com. You can also use promo code TARODCAST to receive a discount on your purchase. If you are a lover of authentic, chunky salsas and the most delicious birria tacos and birria pizzas in Oklahoma City, make sure to reach out to Morenitas Salsitas at www.CRTN-T.com/Morenitas Salsitas. Morenitas-Salsitas. Sorry about that. And last but not least, if you are in the market for an affordable graphic designer to create your next logo, flyer, album cover, or animated video, check out at Rose Graphism on Instagram. That's ROZAYGRAPHISM on Instagram. And as always, all of this information will be in our episode notes. All right, y'all. So let's go ahead and dive into it. And what I want to talk about first is the animal kingdom. And so when we think about the animal kingdom, I know there are a lot of movies and pieces of literature and coloring books and all kinds of things that come to mind when we think about animals. You know, we think about lions and tigers and bears. We think about gazelles. We think about hippos, we think about fish, all kinds of animals. And we think about how they are, how they act, how they interact, how they affect their surroundings, how they affect members of the same or other animal groups. And when we think about the entire circle of life, if you want to call it that, it's composed of so many different types of animals doing their thing. And as humans, we are also an animal species. Now, we are in our own personal glory, we have a level of sophistication in the brain that allows us to communicate and rationalize and express and things like that. But at the same time, at our core, we are still a form of animal. But what I want to talk about are the animals that we have grown to learn more about just from watching things like Discovery Channel and National Geographic and Zaboomafoo and all that, and I want to talk about specifically the animals who are believed to have certain types of male dominant leaders. And so my first thing that I want to jump into is just the concept of the alpha in the animal kingdom. And I want to talk about how they correspond to animals who live, hunt, travel, and thrive in groups. And the main two that I'm going to be really diving into for this particular episode, because they're really the most noticeable out of the animal groups that possess these types of characteristics of males, or who are thought to possess these types of characteristics of males. And we're going to be talking about wolves, and we're going to be talking about lions. So let's talk about wolves first. So I was doing some research, like I said earlier, and I actually found a pair of men who actually did some extensive studies on wolves. And so just to get into it, in 1947, there was a gentleman by the name of Rudolf Schenkel, and he published a paper on wolf study, which became very widely adopted. And in his observations, he coined the alpha male term. And as he was studying, as far as his findings and discoveries and things like that, he was someone who, through his observation, he surmised that there is an alpha male when it comes to wolves. It is the de facto leader of the pack, and any and all other male wolves were subordinate to that alpha male. And so as he was observing this, these are the things that he was finding. These are the things that were coming to life from his studies. And 1947 really wasn't that long ago, because hell, some of our grandparents were born in that time. And so these types of sophisticated observations, especially with even technology evolving at that point to where people could even do that safely, it is no surprise that even these particular studies from Schenkel became what they were. And they even influenced another animal researcher by the name of David Mech, or Mech. And he would actually go on to further these wolf studies from, his time, Schenkel's time, all the way through the year of 1968. But during that year, upon doing more observations, more sophisticated observations, because time has passed, things have gotten better, things have improved, our way of recording and viewing information had improved by that time. Mech would actually have the theories regarding alpha male wolves that was initially penned by Schenkel revoked. Now, what happened is that Mech discovered that there truly is no true alpha male in wolves, but that the pack, the wolf pack, is made of a family of wolves, with the breeding male and the breeding female, or the parents, comprising the beginning of the pack. And these two parent wolves are basically the nurturers and the guides and the teachers for the wolf pack. And the thing is, the wolf pack is basically just comprised of children. It's comprised of their pups, their litter. And as these young wolves grow up, they are the ones who are learning from the breeding male and the breeding female about how to hunt, how to stick together, how to be the cunning tacticians that wolves are. They are quite simply just being the example. And they are giving their brood of children, growing children, the tools that they will need in order to not only be successful hunters, but also to be successful at preserving the legacy of the family, splitting off and then finding their own, male wolves or their own female wolves to breed with and start their own packs. And so only in captivity were there observations of males competing for dominance. And so what Mech is saying here is that captive wolves that may have been caught for breeding, who may have been caught for display at a zoo, who may have been caught for maybe some illegal raising, whatever that Tiger King type exotic animal dark underbelly world looks like. It was in captivity where there were observations of male wolves competing for dominance. And so that says something very important. In the natural scheme, in the natural way, male wolves are not competing with one another to be the dominant leader of the wolf pack, because why would the father wolf need to compete with the sons? No, the parent wolf, the breeding male, is trying to teach the young male wolves what to do to survive. And if these particular types of studies are being conducted, it's showing that the initial way that we thought wolves to be was completely false. And also, David Mech had published studies. He actually published a book as well that corresponded with these findings, these new findings, the findings that debunked Schenkel's findings about wolves. And even to this day, David Mech has since petitioned to have his earlier written works that initially supported Schenkel's observations. He's petitioned to have these findings halted from being continuously republished. Now, there is an uphill battle that he is continuing to fight in order to stop publishers from publishing this false information. But because this information is so popular and it's so accepted, his literary works that were more in line with Schenkel's discoveries are continuing to be placed on bookshelves all around the world. And you can even go to David Mech's website, where he basically is talking about all of this and even his struggle, even his fight to have the accurate information put out there. Like his fight to withdraw from every bookshelf, withdraw from every printing press the old information from his old studies, and to have that information replaced with accurate information and more thorough information. He's still having to fight that fight even now. And it's quite crazy, because I feel like that is so very in line with how even we are as people. I know I'm getting off subject here, but when we actually discover something that goes against the normal status quo, or we find some information that goes against normal belief systems, we tend to always get shut down, because people do not want to step outside their comfort zone and hear something that could potentially rip the rug from under them when it comes to how they believe about a certain thing. And so, I know it's a bit off subject, but at the same time, it still ties together because we see this all the time. I've even had these moments in my own life. And so even just reading about this and reading about the man who has actually done the work to debunk old observations and try to replace those observations with more newer, updated, accurate observations, I feel an instant connection. I'm like, I know where you're coming from, dude. Like, I really know where you're coming from. So again, when it comes to wolves and there actually being what is called an alpha male amongst wolf packs, that entire theory is actually not true. It's not true because it is a family of wolves working together that allows them to succeed and allows them to thrive and to breed and to continue on when it comes to sustaining their wolf legacy. So that's wolves. That's wolves. And now what I want to do is I want to talk about lions now. And so we know that the lion has a well-known nickname of being the king of the jungle. Because when we look at lions, we see them as regal, we see them as powerful, we see them as big cats that no animal could ever mess with. So when it comes to male lions in both the historical and the royal context, they have been made to be overwhelming symbols of dominance. Now, with this in mind, many people have been led to believe that a pride of lions is consequently run by a singular male. Like a singular male, basically the alpha male of the pride. That's what a lot of us believe. However, in doing some research, I stumbled across a couple of websites, ThoughtCo and National Geographic, and they have both detailed the actual inner workings of what truly makes lion prides successful. And they also detail that prides are mainly matriarchal in their structure, even though they are guarded by multiple male lions. Now just think about that, because if there's one thing that we know, and if there's one certain fact that we tend to always gloss over, is that in lion prides, the female lions do all of the work, from the nurturing and caring and protection of their young to all of the hunting. And the male lions, as far as what we believed, they sat on top of the hill, they slept, they mated, they roared, and that was it. But what is actually being shown here is that male lions are simply the ones on patrol. And the thing is, the male lions don't do the hunting, as we already know. And so if it's not for the female lions, the lionesses rather, the males don't get to eat. They don't get to eat, they starve. And so we don't want to put, or we don't want to assign value to the matriarchal aspect of a pride of lions, because it feels better to think that there is one lion in the pride that has dominance over all of the lionesses in the pride. We have to think about that. We have to address that. So what we actually believe about lions is only half true. Now, again, like I said, while the males of the pride serve as the protectors, the females, the lionesses, are the core. And of course, we know they put in most of the work. And the crazy thing that I learned about all of this is that when male lion cubs are born, right before they reach an age of maturity, they are pushed out of the pride. And then they are left to wander and survive on their own. Now, young male lion cubs typically will find other young male lion cubs. That's if they're lucky, and they will band together, looking to take over another pride and claim it as their own. However, in this wandering nomadic lifestyle, some of these adolescent lions, they die. Now, the ones that do survive, they only do so to take over another pride and kill the cubs within. And what I've learned is that whenever male lions are doing what's called a takeover of another pride, they kill the lion cubs. And what this does is this forces all of the lionesses in that pride to go back in heat. So basically at this time they are ready to reproduce again, because now that a bigger, stronger band of lions is taking another pride over and killing off their young, their hormones are switching from nurturing to breeding, because you just killed my child, so I have to have another one. So we're gonna go ahead and start this process of getting in the heat all over again. And so the thing is, this is a vicious, brutal cycle. But it's not a cycle that hinges on one particular male exerting dominance. Rather, it is a group of males looking to ensure their survival through this type of competition. And the thing is, not all young male lions succeed. Again, there are a lot of adolescent lions, male lions, that die in this process. And again, as brutal, as vicious, as barbaric as it is, somebody cue the circle of life, play the music. It sounds peaceful, but this is actually what it really is. And because of that, when a group of young male lions successfully do take over a pride, then they do the same thing. They patrol, they eat, they sleep, and they roar until the next group of young male lions decides to try their paw at taking over the pride. And so these observations also talk about just the fact that there is no singular one male lion that is the king of the pride. It's always groups. It's always groups of disbanded young male lions who are engaging in this perpetual cycle. So, I really feel bad for the young male lion cubs. I do, because again, to be pushed out of your pride, to wander, to try and find other young male lions, to form a little stealthy group that is looking for the next pride to take over. I mean, that's a hard life. That's a hard life, and you're not even guaranteed success. But, honestly, I feel like whenever there is a male lion or a group of male lions that have some sustained success, throughout the course of their particular lifespan, I feel like they believe they've earned the right to be the laziest outside of their natural duties. They patrol, they mate, they eat. I can't say this enough. That's what they do. They're not truly the leaders in any way, as far as how we have portrayed them to be, since they don't do most of the major decision making in their prides. And the decision making is simply based on hunting and caring for the young. Male lions also have the least amount of stamina outside of mating. I mean, go figure. I mean, everything in this life, well, mostly everything in this life that's alive has to mate in order to continue the preservation of its legacy. we have to produce offspring in some way, shape, or form. And most of us are born with the capabilities of doing that, the ability to procreate in order to ensure the longevity of our species. And so, yeah, when it comes to mating, a male lion's all over it. They are all over it. But they seldom have much energy to do anything else. And since there are multiple males in the pride, the notion of there being a sole alpha is debunked. What it truly comes down to is a team effort that's enforced by a group of ostracized males who are searching to take over a pride to ensure their own survival. In the end, it's all about desperate preservation or death. And so now that we've got the science out of the way, we are going to take our first break, and when we come back, we are going to talk about the specific types of male, because I wanted to talk about this first, just so that we understood where we're going, and now we're going to start getting into the breakdown of the MANimal kingdom. So make sure you have your water close by, your wine, your fruit juice, your Sprite, whatever it is that you have next to you that's keeping you hydrated. Go ahead and take a swig, and we will be right back. This is Taradcast. Yo, what's good, everyone? This is your host of Taradcast, Tarad Rashan, and I just want to welcome you to the commercial break. Now, you already know what time it is. It's hydration time. Get some high-quality H2O in your system now. Got a few things I'd like to go over. First, to all of our new and returning listeners, thank you so much for your ear and your time. To all of our Patreon supporters, I just want you to know that we are not able to do this without your direct support. So the biggest, dopest Taradcast thank you goes out to you. If you're listening in and you're thinking about becoming part of the Taradcast Patreon family, we'd love to have you. You can find us at www.patreon.com/Taradcast. Now on Patreon, we have 3 tiers of support: a $2 tier, a $3 tier, and lastly, a $6 tier. Each tier comes with its own set of unique perks, so if you find one that fits you, sign up. For us, the main thing is keeping our subscription prices affordable. We know that you work hard for your money, and if you choose to support Taradcast this way, we truly want to make it worth your time. To find out more about our Patreon and the perks with each tier, visit www.patreon.com/Taradcast. We've got it all laid out for you. Also, we've got a merchandise store. Pick up some tees, hoodies, leggings, and more at forevercertain.redbubble.com. All proceeds go right back into the Taradcast podcast and allow us to keep making high quality content for people just like you. For our listeners out there who would like to support us in a non-monetary way, we'd love that too. Share our show with people you know. Also, share us on your social media. And if your favorite Taradcast streaming service allows you to rate and review our show and you're loving what you're hearing, take some time and leave us a 5-star review. Ratings and reviews are what set us apart from other podcasts, and also helps us to recommend our podcast to other listeners we otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to reach. Lastly, if you'd like to reach out to us directly, email us at taradcast@CRTN-T.com. That's taradcast@CRTN-T.com. All of this information can always be found in our episode notes, so make sure to check there if you forget any of the information we just went over. Once again, thank you all so much, and let's get back to the program. Right, y'all, we are back. Welcome back to Taradcast. I hope that you got hydrated, because now we're going to go into the MANimal kingdom. So let's talk about it. Now, according to popular social studies, there are 5 to 6 main types of male, which is based on our loosely based perceptions of how we view hierarchies amongst animal groups. Now, we're going to go over some key characteristics of each type, and honestly, since I'm a man, I can only speak on men, but I know that a lot of these characteristics go for women as well. So let's go ahead and talk about them. Now, I got this information from a website called brandongale.com. Now, according to this site, there is the alpha male who possesses the following characteristics. He's confident, outgoing, charismatic, and a leader. Then there is the beta male, whose characteristics are that he's friendly, reserved, submissive, and loyal. Afterwards, there's the gamma male, who is thought to be adventurous. I'm thinking adventurous and Pinterest for some reason. Eager, aware, and empathetic. Following after that is the omega male, who is self-assured and driven and intelligent and has diverse interests. And then there's the delta male, who's more resigned and resentful and self-sabotaging and lonely. And following after the delta male, there's the sigma male, who's pretty much the calculated, strategic, undercutting, cunning manipulator. Now, these are the 5 to 6 main types. A lot of people don't really, when they make these lists, they don't talk about the sigma male, but the sigma male was one that I read about, and I was like, I think this type of classification, if you want to call it that, is interesting enough, and I'll put it in here and make reference to it. But these are the 5 to 6 types of male. Like the main 5 to 6 types of male that many people believe are in existence. Now, one thing that I also want to point out is that each type of male has their strengths and their weaknesses. Now, let's talk about first the alpha male, because I mean this whole podcast started off by talking about how there truly is no alpha in the animal kingdom. And so when it comes to men who believe that they are alpha males, most men who adopt this particular type of title, they typically are the more self-centered and emotionally inept types of men. They are the ones who do not want to be questioned because they feel that their decisions are the best decisions, whether it is a logical truth or an illogical truth, a fallacy, a lie, a falsehood. Because they are so sure of themselves, they are the types of people who feel threatened when someone challenges the leadership qualities that they believe that they possess. And this type of behavior leads to a lot of arguments. Like the type of person that an alpha male would need is someone who is submissive and quiet and doesn't question things, even if by not questioning something, it is to the detriment of the entire relationship. And this isn't necessarily just in the romantic sense, but it's also in the platonic sense as well. Because alpha males are the ones who they need to have their presence known. They need everyone to know that they are larger than life. They need to convince a lot of people that they are the HNIC, the head person in charge. Because if they don't have that, then they feel like their value is being discounted. They feel like they are being reduced to the smallest form of human. And that is an absolutely crazy thing in their head to think about. And so they can't handle that. They don't want to handle that. And so it is easier to establish their pseudo-dominance early and maintain that. So that way there isn't much work that has to be done going forward, because everyone else will pretty much bow or yield to them and how they think and how they feel and what they do. And so after that, we have the beta male. And the beta male is more so thought of as the friend, more of the friend than the lover. And because of that, most beta males are the ones who make the really good friends. They are the ones that a lot of women see themselves settling down with after all is said and done, because they're typically agreeable. And the thing is, though, is that beta males tend to get friend zoned the most. They tend to get friend zoned the most. And because of that, these feelings of not being good enough or not having the spark or not having the fire necessary to kindle a heavy romantic relationship, or the type of desirable romantic relationship that they truly want and yearn for, that is something that stays with beta males. And it's the kind of inward struggle that makes them wonder if any of their genuine efforts are truly worth it, because they feel like they get constantly and consistently looked over in favor of those who have more of a dominant presence. Beta males are more about teamwork when it comes to these types of classifications. They're more about being able to step up and take the lead, but also knowing when to fall back if an idea is better than what they came up with. They have no problem doing that. They don't necessarily feel the need to occupy the leader role, no questions asked, all the time. And so many people look at this type of behavior and automatically categorize it as weak. And so when it comes to beta males, that's their biggest issue. That's their biggest weakness in that sense. And then after that, there is the gamma male, who is someone who may have a tendency to look for attention despite being an independent person. Now, I've also read that there is the possibility of alpha males who will evolve or mature into a gamma male. And this particular type of male is one that is more fully realized, but yet, being the life of the party and understanding what that energy feels like, especially if they are a male who has evolved from or matured from an alpha to a gamma, they miss those feelings sometimes, even though they've developed this way of being self-sufficient, being self-reliant, being independent. Even though they've been able to manifest that, there are still parts of them that miss that feeling, that miss that attention. And therefore, they will sometimes forego the wonderful properties of their own independence, the peace that comes with their own independence, and they will look for attention. They will vie for that attention, just kind of slipping back into some old alpha ways. And typically this doesn't happen all the time, but when it does happen, it is something that they have this overwhelming need to satisfy. And once they get it satisfied, they go back to being who they were. But it's just the fact that exists in their mindset. They have to be able to fulfill that. They have to be able to satiate that, satisfy it. They've got to be able to take care of it so that way it doesn't eat at them. Because in certain situations, they'll forego everything that has allowed them to evolve into this type of person just for the sake of being able to say, okay, I have the attention that I need. Now I can go back to doing what I need to do. And those types of things can lead these types of males to doing things they probably wouldn't normally do, just so that way they can hush this craving, So that's the gamma male. And when it comes to the weaknesses of the omega males sometimes lack the ability to care for others outside of themselves. So because omega males are the type of people who are more so like the tunnel vision type male out here, they spend the majority of their time tailoring their interests, tailoring their hobbies, tailoring their alone time into themselves. And so because of this, they know how to take care of themselves. They know what they require. But when it comes to fully understanding the personal and the unique needs of other people, they fall short because they are not used to having to care for someone else other than themselves. They're like the concept of the lone wolf. And because of that, they are all about self-preservation. They're all about doing what they need to do in order to propel themselves. Thinking about someone else and even adding on the responsibility of potentially having to take care of someone else is something that doesn't typically fall within an omega male's line of sight. And so because of this, they have to really break themselves down, which is a very uncomfortable experience, and force themselves to develop the feeling of caring for someone else outside of who they are. And because of that, there could be both internal and external struggles and fights, because this realm of being is not comfortable for them. They would rather be by themselves and do what they need to do to get themselves where they need to go. They don't necessarily have the overwhelming desire to have someone else with them as they are trying to propel their way forward. And so having to take time to cater to someone else's needs is not something that they are good at. They can learn, but it's going to be a very, very hard uphill battle when it comes to the omega male. It's just not in their particular nature when it comes to these types of characteristics of male. And then after the omega male, we have the delta male. And the delta male is the one who is burdened by past experiences that he has allowed to change his entire way of being, but for the worse. And so delta males are the ones who have suffered something tragic, or they've suffered the greatest heartbreak, or whatever it is that happened that changed their lives. And instead of becoming optimistic, they become the most pessimistic. They do not and they will not see life the same. They have lost that part of their soul that allows them to feel. They could have been an alpha, they could have been a beta, they could have been any other type of male, but when that one thing happened, or maybe it was a series of things, a pattern of things even, but when that happened, when they received those experiences, it changed them for the worse. And because of this change, they lack empathy, they lack the ability to care. They don't want to pursue it because now everything is being looked at with the viewpoint of a black haze, of a smog, of a miasma that taints everything it touches. And this is the transformation of their mind. This is the downfall of his entire character, because now he's more prone to being violent. He's more prone to being angry. He's more prone to being sad. He needs therapy. That is what he needs. He needs therapy because his outlook on life has completely shifted. And now the delta male holds on to the experience that changed him for the worse, and has begun to look at everything and everyone through the lens of that experience or set of experiences. And now when he comes into contact with other people, he's the kind of person that will not be able to get over a situation, because in his mind, oh, all people are the same, or all these experiences are the same, or nothing's ever going to change. And so it can be a real downer trying to interact with a Delta classified male. And then afterwards we have the Sigma male, and the Sigma males tend to be very conniving and deceitful for the sake of getting what they want. These are the people, like, in the traits that we listed earlier, these are the master manipulators. These are the ones who are borderline sociopathic, because everything that they do is for their immediate benefit, their immediate pleasure, and for the joy of seeing how their particular predictions of interactions that they have will actually come to pass. And so if they predict right, they get a dopamine rush. If they're able to manipulate someone into doing what they want, they get a dopamine rush. These types of males, in my opinion, just again based on these particular types of classifications, are the ones that you technically really want to stay away from. If we're going based on these characteristics, strengths and weaknesses and things like that, these are the ones who you would generally want to do everything you could to stay away from, because they're the ones who know how to get in good and then not only stab you in the back, but come around and stab you in the chest while holding both knives with both hands, just so that you know the pain from both sides. And now that they've gotten what they want, they're done with you. You no longer have a purpose. And so these are the Sigma males. These are the ones who, according to these characteristics, are the worst kind. So what I want to talk about next is, for me, if I were to look at these 6 types of male and how I would actually identify myself, just for the sake of doing it, since we're talking about it, I would more so classify myself as a beta transitioning into a gamma male. Some people said I have alpha male characteristics and things like that, but if I were to just look at the characteristics at face value, I would be more so of a beta transitioning into a gamma. And the reason why I say that is because, again, I don't necessarily need to be the life of a party. I don't necessarily need attention, but when I have it, I know I'm fun. I know I like to have fun. I like to be, one of the people who likes to have a good time, a genuine good time. And the thing is, I know that this is my nature. Like, I know for me growing up, I was friend zoned a whole lot, so I'm like, yeah, that's technically beta and whatnot. I was friend zoned a whole lot. But at the same time, when I found love, it was the deepest, purest, most raw and special kind of love that I could ever give. And it's through the strength of that love that I'm even still married to this day. And because of that, I find myself not necessarily just being within the friend-like confines that most people associate with a beta male. Because again, in the grand scheme, beta males are considered to be the best friends, like the guy friends that most women probably don't have much of a romantic attachment to. Those types of friends who stick by you and, hug you when you're crying and give you the best advice, but yet they can't have you. You know what I mean? And so, that was me. That was me coming up. And the reason why I say I'm more so transitioning, evolving, maturing into a gamma male is because I'm starting to find more of myself. And in doing so, I'm embracing what makes me an independent man. Because for me, I am the kind of person who empathy basically courses through my veins. I am someone who is also continuously doing everything I can to develop and strengthen my awareness. When it comes to something new, I'm eager to go on that adventure, because life, what I'm learning, even now at age 31, I'm learning that life is all about experiences. The things that you never know if you'll be able to do them a second time. So why not do it? Now, not everything falls into that category, but when it comes to those types of adventures that life has the opportunity of placing in front of me, I want to be able to experience that. Because for me, I just want to continue to grow, to learn more people, to learn more about different environments I've never been in, to travel, to try new foods, to get new clothes, to have souvenirs, to be a part of something that could even be like a tribal ritual, something that I have been granted the privilege of sitting in and being a part of. Things like that. Those are the types of things that I want. And I want to be able to do this while showing the proper respect needed in order to honor each and every situation, and each and every experience, and each and every person that I come across. And so for me, like I said, when it comes to just the face value characteristics of the types of male, I would say that I am a beta transitioning into a gamma male in this particular sense. Now, the thing is, and I've talked about this before as well, but one thing that I know I don't do is I don't look at these characteristics and just allow that to be the sole defining trait of what makes me who I am. The thing is, there are a lot of men out here that do, and I've talked about this before, but it's very prevalent in those who want to be alpha males based on the way that alpha males are looked in the animal kingdom, and they want to be that same type of dominant force, supposed dominant force that these animals like wolves and lions are said and thought to be, even though these theories are debunked. And so most times when it comes to trying to get people to understand who you are, or at least understand a piece of who you are, I know when you start getting into the convincing game, because honestly, from what I've seen and heard, and I've got a lot more seeing and hearing to do in my lifetime, but up until now, I don't really see beta males, gamma males, omega males, delta males, or sigma males going and telling everyone what type of male that they are. It's typically the alpha male who is doing it in order to potentially overcompensate or convince people that this is who he is. You'll see it all the time. It's the most desirable, or thought to be the most desirable of male that is out here right now. And because of that, more and more men are screaming from the rooftops that they are alpha men, and they're playing the convincing game. But the thing is, there's a difference between convincing someone and having certain characteristics that exude from you. Because back in the day, men, like actual, if you want to call them alpha men, were providers. They were strategists. They were hard workers. And they were the ones who were the protectors as well. Like, you did not step to this particular man. He didn't have to tell you he was an alpha. You felt it coming from him. You would not step to him and think that you are going to beat his ass, because that's not the case. It's not the case. Just the energy that he has is a deterrent enough when it comes to you trying to step to this person and exert a sort of dominance. It'd be the types of people like the deltas or the sigmas who would probably go back and grab a whole bunch of other people to go back and confront this person who truly does exude alpha-like tendencies, and they jump him And then the one who is initially intimidated is going to stand over him because he's got like 6 or 7 or 8 people to take down one person, and he's going to put his foot in his chest and say, I'm an alpha now. And so, men back in the day, there wasn't necessarily the need to proclaim to the rest of the world that I am alpha. Because when you do that, when you hear people that do this, even who use the words I'm an alpha male, they are simply playing the convincing game. They want to be loud and boisterous enough to where just the sheer force of their own will is enough to convince people that, oh, he really must believe that this is who he is, so I guess therefore he is. But no, it's the convincing game. And it's far different from just exuding these types of characteristics, because now men who are classifying themselves as alpha, because again, it's the only type of male that most men want to be. Most men nowadays are overtly hypermasculine and ill-equipped and lacking emotion and structure. They're the ones who fly off the handle. Those are the ones who feel threatened when they are challenged. These are the ones who get mad as opposed to actually trying to figure out their emotions, And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. There's a lot of improvement that needs to be done, because men now, like I truly don't understand. That's why most of the times I stay to myself, and the guys that I do kick it with, they're just genuinely fun. Nobody's trying to overtake the other or dominate the other. It's like, no, can't we just have a good time? I'm just here for a good time. And so, most men nowadays really try to overcompensate because they believe that alpha title is going to net them everything that they've desired. And yeah, I understand people fake it till you make it, but at the same time, it's a lot of work having to fake it. It's a lot of work. You have to convince yourself, and then you have to go out and convince others. And again, just playing the convincing game is a lot of work, because there are some people who see right through that, and they know that you do not exude that energy. Despite how loud you are, it is not you. You want it to be you so bad it looks desperate. So again, these are characteristics that society has generated when it comes to men, when it comes to the types of men that exist. And when we come back from our next break, I want to talk about how we are more than what society has labeled us. We are more. We probably have characteristics from all of the types of male that are out here. Truth be told, that is the actual truth. And so we're going to get more into that after we come back from our next break. So make sure to have your water, your wine, fruit juice, whatever it is that you are drinking. Take another sip and we will be right back. This is Taradcast. Welcome back to the final part of our show. This is Taradcast, and I'm your host, Tarad Rashan, and I want to talk now about how we are more than these classifications. And I want to talk about this because, first things first, if we try to narrow down everything about what makes us who we are, then we are doing the hugest disservice to ourselves. We are limiting our own potential and our own opportunities for growth and learning. Because if we just focus on being a certain set of characteristics, we may be able to master certain things, but we will find deficits in many other things within ourselves. And so, again, even though I spent so much time going in depth about these classifications of men, and the whole MANimal kingdom, we also have to understand that we are more than that. We are way more than that, because we actually have, especially now in this day and age, we have every ability to escape from the narrow-mindedness of being one type of man and focusing on trying to hone a certain set of characteristics that will allow us to exude a specific type of man. And we can take on the positive characteristics of all of the modern societal classifications of men. And mainly the ones that actually have positive characteristics to begin with. We can actually start working towards taking on all of these things. And the reason why I say this is because this involves heightened introspection. I haven't used that word in a while, but one of our favorite words on this show, introspection. And because of that, we owe it to ourselves to go and do what's called the shadow work within ourselves and start learning more about our darker sides and learning more about what makes us tick and what causes our emotions to become ruffled, or what makes our temperature rise, what disgusts us, the things that we might even do in secret. Taking time to acknowledge these things and to give these things that make us who we are their acknowledgement and their space, but then at the same time making the decision to engage more in the better parts of ourselves. Again, shadow work is not about denying the fact that these sides of us exist, but rather giving these sides the space and the attention that they need in order to prevent them from coming forth and bursting out of us in a way that takes away from our own better nature and our own character. Shadow work is designed to keep all of you in check, even the sides that nobody else but you know about. It's spending time with yourself. It's getting to the root and the core of yourself. Understanding that even though I may feel certain ways about certain things, or I may feel a certain way about myself, or I may have these unresolved issues or feelings, it's giving those things their space internally, acknowledging it, and letting yourself know that yes, this is a part of me, but it's not all of me. So that way you can avoid those types of outbursts. You can avoid those types of exclamations where when you're in the heat of a certain moment, your entire demeanor changes and people don't recognize you anymore. It's about taking that emotional responsibility within yourself and just finding and discovering and acknowledging yourself. So that way you're good. Yes, this is who I am. These are the deep, dark, shadowy recesses of who I am. But at the same time, because you give them time, you give them attention, you allow them to know that you have your place. At that point, you can start truly engaging and truly learning, truly aspiring to get to the level of being well-rounded. That is the goal. That's the goal for all of us. We all have our traumas. We all have our own experiences. We all have things that we've done wrong. And giving those things their space internally is going to save us a lot of trouble, especially when situations that are similar or actions that happen based on those hidden experiences, those actions occur and we find ourselves not having an explanation for them. Doing the shadow work and realizing these things about ourselves is going to propel us to higher heights, to where we can fully feel at peace with ourselves. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, but I can't stress this enough. The value of vulnerability and how real, actual women appreciate it. In many circumstances, women, they go through a string of alphas before they get to a beta or a gamma. And most times, what happens is the alpha isn't fully realized. They're caught up in smelling themselves to the point to where they don't even realize how and when they are hurting the person that they're with, because they are more self-centered. They are used to being the person who always hears yes. And so when that doesn't happen, they will lash out. They may hurt someone. It might not be physical, but it for damn sure might be emotional. So it's understanding what vulnerability really means and how valuable vulnerability really is, because when a woman feels safe and feels secure and feels heard, that is going to be worth so much more than the rush from the potential of a sexual encounter. Because when they feel heard, when they feel understood, when they feel valued, when they feel respected, when they feel like all of who they are is truly being seen, that creates a level of love and loyalty that can't be broken. Because you have taken time to not only search yourself and find yourself, but to care enough to search her and find her. And there is no deeper love than one that understands the value of vulnerability. Also in this process of us being well-rounded, it's also going to allow our sons and our daughters to see the best version of men that they need to see, to be the actual example of men that they need to see. And this is one that hits home for me because I have a daughter. I have a daughter, and I am the first man that she has ever encountered in her lifetime. I am the first, I am the most consistent, because I'm her father. And because of that, the way that I act towards her, the way that I act towards my wife, the way that I act towards my own mom and dad, my own sisters and brother, my friends, the people that I interact with, when she sees me interact with these people, she's going to look at me, she's going to internalize this and realize that this is how men should act. This is how men should be. Because my dad is showing me this. And so if you are a man or a boy and you don't act like my dad, then I don't know what to do with you, So I have to do what I can to be the most well-rounded person that I can be for my daughter, of course for myself, but when thinking about it from the prospect of being a parent, I have to think about these things as well. I want to be able to model. I want to be the model for her when it comes to how a real man should be, someone who isn't afraid to share their emotions, because I trust my daughter. She's a very caring girl. She is. She's the kind of girl that will literally wipe your tears and give you the biggest hug if she ever sees you crying. She's done this for me because I'm not afraid to show her that, yes, even as a man, even as the strict parent of the two, I still have emotions. And I trust you little 5-year-old, with my emotions. And because of that, she knows how to respond in that sense. And so men who cannot or will not give that to her, she's already not going to trust. I can tell you that right now. Because for me, and it's not like I'm trying to put this huge emotional burden on my 5-year-old, but I want to show her during those times that it is okay to have emotions. It is okay. You don't have to suppress them. You don't have to. Even though so many of us are taught growing up that it's weak to show feelings, it's weak to cry, it's weak to have emotions. This is the complete opposite of anything that we ever needed to hear. It's the complete opposite. Because now we go for long periods of time without understanding our emotions. Some of us become emotionally stunted because of that. And now we have to go through all of these experiences, and we have to go through all this tragedy in order to unlock even the most simplest of emotions. So I feel like being able to take the best characteristics of all of these classifications will even help us to be more well-rounded. Because we are not just simply animals. Even though we are animals, humans are animals, that is not who we are. Because like I said earlier, we have a sophisticated way of thinking and rationalizing and internalizing and evolving and communicating. And these things allow us to change who we are. They allow us to evolve into something greater. And so being able to model the best things and really internalize the best things about one another is going to give us what we need to exude these things. So that way, when someone sees you, they don't see a specific type of classification or characteristic. They see you, and they know you, and they love you. And so, simply put, what we need to do when it comes to the whole MANimal kingdom is just throw that whole hierarchy in the trash and simply be the best that we can possibly be. We can learn from one another. We truly can learn from one another. And in that learning, we will be able to adopt those patterns that will propel us towards becoming the best version of ourselves. When it's time to be the leader, step up and be the leader. If somebody has an idea or a suggestion that's better than yours, yield the floor. Control is only dangerous when someone does not know how to give it up. If someone fights tooth and nail to have control over any and everything, that is someone that is dangerous. That is a man who is dangerous. Control is most powerful when one knows how to yield it to someone else. Because that shows that you trust not only the person you're yielding to, but you trust yourself. You're not afraid of placing yourself into the hands of someone who could potentially be more capable than you are right now. You've put away pride. You've put away ego. You've laid all that to the side. And you have no issue, you have no qualm, no reservation with allowing someone else to also step up and be the leader in that situation. These types of things separate the men from the boys. And what I want to invite you to do, if you are a man, you are listening, I want you to do that searching within yourself. I know there may be some listening who is just like, what is this guy talking about? Why did he waste an hour and 9 minutes of my time with all this BS? You know what? That is completely fine. But to everyone else who is listening, do that soul searching. Discover who you are. Discover how you can be better. And then chart the path for yourself that will get you to that point of becoming well-rounded. Because it's not about leading the pack. It's not about leading the pride. As we know, there are no real leaders in packs and prides. What they are collective units. And they survive through the contributions of everyone. They are families. They are brothers and sisters. They are parents. And the only way for them to survive is to work together. And so if we can learn how to do that, then we will just be males. We'll be males. There won't have to be a hierarchy because all of us get it. And so with that being said, y'all, this is the end of our show. And I just again want to thank all of you for listening and to thank all of you for your continued patience, because these episodes are very near and dear to me, and even this one as well. I've had a lot of struggles coming up to get to the point where I am now as far as how I feel about myself and the things that allow me to be my best self 24/7. You know, I don't necessarily feel the need to impress anybody. I don't feel the need to be the life of the party. I know how to step in and step up and take the reins over a situation when needed, when there isn't a leader. You know, that's been me my whole life. I have plenty of situations that have thrust me into such a place, but I do it with pride because I know I can handle it. And then after that, I fall back and play my position. There is nothing wrong. I feel nothing wrong when it comes to doing that. But at the same time, when it comes to stepping up, I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. And I don't want anybody else to be afraid either. I want you to do everything you can, even just to step up within yourself and improve yourself. Do it. You don't have to be just the sole characteristics of the alpha male, the beta male, the gamma male, the delta male, the sigma male, the omega male. You don't have to just be one of those. You can be everything good about each one of those. Everything good being the key point here. You can. You just have to do the work. And then when you become that, you won't even need the title. You could just be a male. That's it. That's it. But as you already know, y'all know how to find us. You all know how to support us. Make sure to leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcasting platform if it allows you to do so. And make sure to take the conversations to our throne room. Links, along with everything else, are in the show notes. And of course, I leave you with this. Wherever you are, whomever you are, I want to always encourage you to be more introspective and vulnerable with yourself. Know who you are, trust in who you are, and love who you are. Again, I've been your host, Tarad Rashawn. This has been another episode of Taradcast, and I thank you for listening. And I want you to make every effort to find and keep your peace. Till next time.